Hello, everybody, and welcome to the five elements, bringing them into the real world from their theoretical perspective. And tonight we're going to focus on the fire element because it's summer and that's the season pertaining to fire. And I've invited my very dear friend, Jackie Tweedie, to come along and play with me, bringing the fire element to life. Because of all the people I know and love, Jackie is the most perfect exponent of the art of being fire. Let me introduce Jackie first. Jackie is a public speaker and coach. She has achieved phenomenal success as a public speaker. She's a member of Toastmasters and reached the semi-final of the international global competition over the last couple of years, Jackie, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Yeah, which is the last 28 in the world, everybody,
Yes.
in the world. So Jackie has a special gift in terms of communicating ideas and meaningful discourse, as well as great amount of humor, which is very fire. And we're going to bring that to life. It's no coincidence that Jackie is a public speaker and exquisitely masterful communicator. Jackie also does coaching and takes on coaching clients, giving them great clarity through the confusion that is life on this planet at this time. And Jackie also has been on a bit of a journey supporting those with dementia and particularly those caring for dementia. And it's a personal journey to Jackie, which many of us who know and love her have been part of. And she has taken that out to the world on the world stage. And it has touched so many hearts. So we thank you, Jackie, for sharing your experiences with your dear mum, God bless her. And it will definitely have supported so many people who are struggling to care for loved ones with dementia. So, my love, onto a lighter note, Jackie is here to talk about fire with me. And what I thought we'd start, Jackie, is just to discuss your public speaking, because one of the key characteristics of the fire element is communication. And I'm obviously gesticulating with the throat. And it's not just talking about any old stuff, it's talking about your heart's desire. And you were telling me very much about your latest speaking engagement, which is coming up later in August, and you have written your speech already and you're rehearsing. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the content and what is it that inspired you to write that? Because so many themes of the fire element are living and vibrant without you being consciously aware of it, I dare say, in the theme of your talk. So what is it you're doing and what are you going to speak about?
Thank you very much, Claire, for that fantastic introduction. I'm absolutely privileged and honoured to be here with you. I'm going to do a speech for an organisation called The Moth, which is a storytelling open mic contest which takes place in London once a month. And each month they have a theme, and you have to stand up on a stage and speak for 5 minutes without any notes. And the whole idea is it has to be a true story and it has to have some form of transformation in it to make it an interesting story, as opposed to just an anecdote of this happened to me once.
Yeah.
And this month's theme, the one in August that I'm going to go to, is called Hot Mess. And I was talking to my speaking coach, interestingly enough, it's a man who lives in Canada, fantastic coach. And he said, so which parts of your life might be a hot mess, Jackie? And I said, well, just about all of it. And he thought that was really funny. And I said, and I think it'll have to be a funny speech. And I don't always do funny speeches. As you say, I've been talking about dementia and much more serious topics, although in a light and optimistic manner, I've got to say.
Yeah.
But this speech just opened up my memory to all the things I've done that look a little bit chaotic to the world. And I'm basing it around me being in a role of customer services. I have a weekend job on a customer service desk, and it requires quite a lot of organization. And organization is something I often struggle with because it requires discipline and numbers and counting and being in certain places at certain times, all of which messes with my head a little bit. And I think I'm also very dyslexic and a bit dyspraxic. So things get dropped and things get lost and things get forgotten, and have customers saying, oh, did you bring that parcel? Going, oh no, the parcel. And I have to rush back and find it. And I've got really good at getting myself out of messes. So what's interesting is when I create the chaos, I've just had to become really creative for finding a way out of it. And I think that's part of how I communicate, because I've had to become resourceful rather than look completely hapless. And so
Yeah.
what I do is I work really hard to try and not be hapless, but when I am, I've got some really good ways of helping people understand that I'm not hopeless. The situation has happened. What can we do to get ourselves out of this? And that's what I'm talking about in the speech, because there's a scenario in the speech I will be describing where it has to have a twist. And I say there is a twist at the end, in that I believe I'm in trouble for something because I've made all these mistakes, and they're very obvious to the world because I stand at the desk by the front door, everybody coming in sees me, so anything I do that might be perceived as being less than perfect is on view to the world. And they call me into an office and I think, oh, this is curtains, I'm going to get sacked or whatever it is, and what they're actually doing is calling me in to give me an award, because there's been a huge amount of positive feedback from
Wow.
customers and a number of people. One lady actually came in and said that when I handed over her parcel, we had a bit of chit chat. I love to connect with people. So we were talking and I was making her laugh. I didn't go to make her laugh, but we were having a laugh about what she'd bought, and we just giggled together. And she came back in and spoke to one of the managers after my shift was finished. And she said, that woman's changed my world. She said, my husband's dying. I haven't been out of the house for a fortnight. I didn't want to come into the shop today. But 5 minutes interaction with that woman, and I feel like I can go on. And I just want you to know that's been a really important interaction for me. And so they gave me an award. So it's really interesting that there's me assuming that I'm going to be in trouble. Like I might have been at school for chatting. I always got in trouble for chatting or for forgetting something or dropping something. And actually what they wanted to do was commend me for having had a meaningful interaction with somebody that needed it. So that's what
Oh,
I'm going to be telling on my story in my
and
shift.
that's going to go down a riot. So that's brilliant. And there are so many themes in fire that if you'd help me, we'll just unpick them. Um, One of the first things you said was how to be organised on the customer service desk. There's lots of contractual stuff going on,
Mm,
and that's not your main power really. And of course, that isn't, because fire isn't organised. It's the wood element, which is liver and gallbladder. It's the wood, the spring season, that is the organizer. It's the planner and the decision maker for us. So it's no good trying to force fire into being organized and scheduling things and everything in a row, neat lists. I am wood, and of course that is just pure heaven to me. But what we often do, and it's a mistake, is to try and take our inherent elemental personality and force that into being inauthentic. So I know you and I have had conversations about, would it help you to be a little bit more organized? But it's never the fire that's going to be organized, it's going to be the wood. So, what I'm quite passionate about is helping people to understand, first and foremost, what is their dominant element, to
mm,
understand themselves, become much more self aware in elemental terms, and then understand what are the other elements they're going to have to draw on in a very contextual way to say, right, I'm going to be on customer services today. Fire will be the one that reaches out from the heart in a genuine, caring, open hearted, very trusting way to relate to the customers and just intuitively chime with them and pick up on those nuances. You'll feel the sadness because
mm,
fire is about joy. So you will intuitively pick up when somebody is joyless, and you
mm.
will work overly hard without being conscious to bring a little joy into their lives, because
Yeah,
that's what fire does.
yeah.
But there's no point you trying to make fire organized.
Well, what I do is I work with someone else who's obviously a wood, and she does a lot of the organizing. So, and she hates relating to the customers. She thinks they're a bit of a nuisance. So I
Yeah,
do the relationship bit, and
yes,
she makes sure
yes,
the paperwork's done on time. Yeah.
that's it. So we've got two options here. We've got to develop our elemental agility, as I call it, to be able to be as conversant with all of the elements all of the time that we can say, right, organizing today, I need to pull on my wood. It's not my most natural state of being, but I am sufficiently au fait with it. I know how to sort of trigger those woody skills and gifts and bring them
Mm,
into my daily life.
mm,
But you'll always bring them into your fire. You won't force your fire into being something that it's not.
Mm.
Or, like you've done with great skill, find a wood. Find somebody with wood that's their dominant element and get them to do all the shit that you hate, pardon my language. But it is as clever as that and as simple as that.
I
No
do I do manage
complications.
I do manage to get a little bit organized, and what I do is I have to really concentrate. So
Yes,
it's like I have to sort of dampen down all the other things that I am to say, like, just do this one thing till it's finished. Because
yes,
that's the other thing, I struggle to finish things because I'm off on something else that's more exciting. Like, I've got to get this inputted in. Oh, but it's not working properly. Oh, but I'll just go and talk to them. They're much more interesting than this is. And then I come back
and
and think, oh
that's it.
no, I didn't finish it, and now it's come off the screen. And so I find I really have to sort of, it's not calm myself down, but I have to really focus. It's an
Yes,
effort to focus. And I
yes,
make sure I do that early on so that the day is
yes,
much more smooth because I've done that. So
yes,
there are times when it's really important. And there are other times when the other person's happy to do it and I can do the chatting and the customer
yes.
servicey bit.
You do the bit that comes naturally to you, and
Yes.
that's this
Oh, I
real
do all the
invitation.
announcements in the shop as well, which is, I think, oh, Jackie, can you do that? And I think, but it's dead easy doing the announcements. And then I discovered everybody else is terrified of doing the
Part of it.
announcements. And I just think, how come they be terrified and I just think it's fun? So
Exactly,
yeah.
because that's it, because fire likes to have fun. Fire likes to play, which is why
Mm,
you have a natural resistance in fire to anything that is serious, that
mm,
we would say grown up. Um, Fire really is the childlike innocence, not childish, that's fire out of balance, but in balance, it's the childlike awe and wonder. If we want to know what fire element in all of its glorious balance is, look at a 7-year-old in a
mm,
playground, because
mm,
it's quite a little bit before they've learned the art of manipulation and suppressing their natural instincts because they're looking and having to learn social interaction. When they are just being themselves, that's
mm,
fire. And what happens is we are taught that we have to suppress that, we have to be all grown up and mature. And a lot of us resist it because we don't
mm,
want to be that. We want to be that ongoing childlike, playful nature. And then you'll get the serious person that says, oh, for God's sake, grow up. Now,
mm,
that to a fire dominant personality is quite a wounding thing to say.
mm,
And immediately you'll go into that childish mode of, transactional analysis, parent child, I'm being told off, and then go into, really go in on yourself and lose all of that wonderful creativity, spontaneity, joyful play, which is fire.
mm,
And of course, whilst each element has its own season, we want to be, each element also has its own 2 hour window throughout the day. So we don't have to wait for the summer to be fiery and to go out and have barbecues and be sociable and chat and um, suddenly just decide, oh, we'll go off and have a picnic. And the wood person in your team will be going, oh, hang on a minute, we haven't planned a picnic. Okay, right, what are we packing? And the fire will already be halfway out the door, forgetting the handbag, forgetting the keys, not knowing where they're going. Who cares? Let's just see where we end up. The wood person is their hair is on fire, going, oh, I'm feeling really uncomfortable with this lack of planning and
oh, we haven't got permission.
organisation. I haven't got permission. We haven't prepared.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
the water element will be having a meltdown in terms of what could go wrong, because water is about being vigilant to and assessing risk and mitigating it. But if things feel out of control, there is this, and water can be out of balance. It very quickly goes to, oh my God, what if we run out of petrol? We haven't even got enough petrol. What if we run out of petrol? I don't even know where we're going. Well, I haven't told the neighbours that I won't be back at 9 o'clock. Who's going to feed the bird? And it's all the what ifs, and then that quickly goes to catastrophization. Meanwhile, the fire is having the best time saying, no, don't worry about all of that, it'll be fine. Based on nothing. We'll find a petrol station. Where, Jackie says the wood. Oh, I don't know. There's bound to be one en route. Water says, I'm Googling it now. I can't find the petrol station. And the fire just wants to say, free yourself of this onerous responsibility and the duty and the grown upness. Let's just be free.
Yes.
And we all need to support that fire within us some of the time. You talked about sometimes, dyspraxic, dyslexic. Fire out of balance can often, it's thinking as it's speaking, but it's not able to sort the words before they come out. And that's to do with one of the aspects of fire is the small intestine official. And the small intestine is responsible for sorting pure from impure. So
Right.
what happens if fire is out of balance, especially in the small intestine, it's not able to sort the thoughts before they come out as words. And you'll often hear a person who's dominant in fire but a little bit out of balance, a bit deficient, almost speaking the words that come out the wrong way round. And it's
Absolutely.
half-formed sentences, and then they go off, and then and you're listening and you're struggling to follow the
Yes.
thought process.
Yeah.
And we're
Sometimes I
not saying,
stop mid-sentence as well, and they say, "What were you going to say?" And I said, "I don't know. What was I saying?"
I don't know, it's gone.
I've
Exactly, it's
lost
trying to
interest in
hold
it.
on
I've
to it.
gone off. Yeah, I've said the half of it that was interesting to me, and I'm off to something else now.
I'm off to something else.
What you were saying was quite interesting. What was it? I said, I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
gone.
I've done that bit now.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Fire wants to be continually creatively stimulated. So it often is a good initiator, has the creative spark idea, says, wouldn't it be great if we did this? It will progress it to about 5%. Then it will be bored because the best thing has already happened, that birth of a creative idea. And then it wants to hand it over to somebody who likes maintenance, which is usually a wood or a water or an earth. It doesn't really want to do the boring, mundane churning out the stuff at all.
No.
So you're right, you will be halfway through, you've said what is the, as you say, the most fun and most creatively interesting, stimulating thing, and then you're off to the next thing. Because the fire brain works, well, a lot of people say the fire element brain could be called neurodiverse. If we're going to look at labels, rather than you saying you're dyspraxic or dyslexic, which is quite judgmental, you could actually, I would say, fire particularly could be put into that beautiful bracket of neurodiverse. The fire brain thinks very, very differently from all the other elements' brain activities because it's not linear.
Very fast. It's very fast.
Very fast and
really fast. All over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Because you literally are tripping over good ideas. You are birthing good ideas in every moment. And of course, that brings us on to another thing that fire dominant personalities have difficulty with, is deciding what they're going to do for their business. Because you have 1,000 things that you could do for your business.
Yes.
And all of them are equally valid, but which one to choose, because that's a small intestine sorting and sifting, which is the optimal trajectory. But then the fire doesn't want to sit and dwell on that either, because that's quite boring. And certainly, you get the good idea. I'm going to do this. Great. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, actually, I'd rather do that, because already you're going on to different things. So it's quite tricky for fires to pin down a business theme and put a boundary around it, because actually it's the wood that puts the boundaries around. The fire has no boundaries. And when we look at relationships in fire, in balance, we use the word appropriate a lot in the 5-element world.
Yeah.
Relationships with balanced fire are open-hearted, appropriately trusting, genuine, based on trust. Now, if that trust is in any way betrayed, if that fire's openness is abused by somebody taking that, maybe that honest expression of how that person feels, and then manipulates it or distorts it or plays it back in order to have a little power game, make you feel small, then feel better for that, then fire can go very much and close off and say, I'm not doing that anymore. To hell with being open-hearted and, wearing my heart on a sleeve. I've learned. And what happens is fire becomes deficient and becomes quite cynical and suspicious and closed off. But that's the worst thing that a fire can do, because they actually want to be open-hearted, trusting, loving, loyal, honest. So it's, I'm so glad I'm not a fire element, dominant fire element, because I think you have such a hard life.
Great.
I know,
but listening to you talking, Claire, I think I must have been very lucky, or maybe I've just intuitively picked some excellent people in my life, because
Right.
I'm not relating to people that have played those type of betrayal type games or power games, or
Brilliant.
the only time I felt flat, or that flatness really, is lack of sunshine, lack of
Yeah.
community,
Yes.
connection,
Yes.
communication.
Yes.
And when, as you say, when projects get boring, when it's all the doing and the, doing your accounts and organizing your calendar and all that stuff that's really dull, and
Yeah.
it enables me to do the stuff that I love,
Yeah.
but it's nitty-gritty detail, and I've
Yeah.
categorized it as the dull stuff. So
Yeah.
that I feel flat. And then I've had
Yeah.
days with my customer service where people have said, you're not yourself. And for some reason or another, I felt quite flat. But it's so rare, because people say, oh, you're not normally like that. And they notice it because it's so
Yes.
rare. Because
Yes.
mostly I feel very upbeat, very optimistic, very energetic.
And
Um,
that's fire,
but
because fire
sometimes it's
is,
difficult. Yeah, it's hard to pin it down and to actually say,
yes.
sometimes I get this longing. What I really want to do is, we saw a little boy this week on Sunday, and he must have been about 5, and he was dancing and singing up and down the aisles. And I just thought, oh, that is just so gorgeous. Why did we all stop dancing and singing? And
Yep.
why did we stand still and we just talk normally? And there was that part of me that was relating, like you're saying about the child.
Yeah.
But there's also that idea that when you're in that space and you're wanting to be optimistic and communicative, that if you can't find someone on that same level, it seems to
Yeah.
just fall off a cliff, and
Yeah.
that, it doesn't match. There's no energy match. So I think I've just been very lucky that I found some really good matches, because I
Yes.
haven't experienced that being a conflict as such. But it is
Perfect.
it's interesting. And I think, like you say, with balance, I noticed that if I haven't done things that I should have done, there is a bit of a strop. Well, couldn't the grown-ups do it?
Yeah.
Aren't there some grown-ups around here who like doing that, who could do that for me? I have to be really careful to make myself do the stuff that grown-ups do,
Do.
because it
Well,
seems so irrelevant and so
that's
unnecessary. Yeah, I
that.
know it is,
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good point, because the main official for fire is the heart, and we call that the emperor, emperor of the heart, the sovereign being, and
Mm,
it just fits perfectly, because there is a Taoist saying within traditional acupuncture, which is the art of the heart is to be, not to do. So the doing comes from the other elements, predominantly wood, water, and earth, but the being comes from fire, which, because all fire wants to do is radiate joy, is be
mm,
love, because it's about the heart, and the heart is about love. And if you are in any way cut off from, deprived from the ability to be love, to radiate joy, and it's difficult to do that in an empty room. Fires, contrary to popular belief, are not the life and soul of the party. Most of them are quite wallfloweries, but they would die if they were cut off from any social interaction. And I'm going to ask you later how the lockdown was for you. But to go back to this art of the heart is to be radiant joy, be love. And where fire tends to become depleted is the lack of interaction, as you said, with like-minded people. Fires struggle to be around very negative, pessimistic people. It's
mm,
like somebody gets a bucket of water and pours it on your fire, and you just go, and it splutters and goes out, and you go, and you feel like literally a damp squib, and you just go,
mm,
oh, and then you've got to generate that internal flame, that internal fire,
mm,
build it up again in order to start bubbling and be out radiant. So if you hang around too many negative people, it's going to be really hard to sustain your own fire. And you will notice over time that you will just get less and less joyful.
mm,
And of course, what we would attribute to fire deficiency in terms of lack of joy, and each of the elements has its own way of manifesting this, but we would call it depression. And
mm,
each element has its own nature of depression. For wood, it's lack of hope. For fire, it's lack of optimism, it's lack of joy.
mm,
So it's really important in your management strategies to keep your fire element in optimal health, is to make sure you have sufficient social interaction with the like-minded souls that generate fire, that allows for you to be that fiery joy bringer, radiant joy. And I must say that Jackie also does 1,001 things because she's fire. Jackie's also a very, very skilled yoga teacher, and she has an online yoga practice that I am a member of. And even when we're holding the most preposterous poses, and I'm thinking, why do I just standing like that? Why are my arms killing me as if I'm carrying 1,000 pounds of weight? Jackie can still crack a joke. And I think, how do you make this funny? How do your little mots juste, your little asides, have us all absolutely crying with laughter, which takes our mind off the pain that you're putting us through? I joked, but it's that ability to just bring in that lightness of mood. So when you're feeling flat and your clients are noticing it, your customers and family, whatever, just look back at your last few days. Where have you not kindled your fiery flame of joy? And be quick on it and get right back in there. So tell me, how was lockdown for you as a fire personality?
Well, I was incredibly lucky. I avoided it completely. So
Wow.
my first thought was, oh, great, I can have some time off.
Yeah.
Because I was just feeling exhausted.
Yep.
I've been looking after my mum who lives an hour and a half away. I literally couldn't look after her. We weren't allowed to go, although we did
Yep.
end up being part of her bubble. But initially it was like, don't visit,
Yep.
because I still had my job once a week at the weekends and I was mixing with other people. I thought I don't want to infect her. And
Yep.
so what was interesting was I ended up, the first thought was, great, I can have all this time off. And the second thought was, no, I can't, because I work online and I can still work online. So I can't have a holiday. So there was a part of me was a bit knocked. I think, oh, how come everyone else they can't go to work, but I can still go to work. So I
Yep.
didn't have any not working time.
Right.
I also volunteered to do a lot more shifts in the store where I work. So actually, I kept in touch with people all the
Yep.
time. I was fully masked up. We had all the PPE and everything else, and there was all this meter apart distancing and everything else.
Yep.
But I I was able to support those people who were really struggling, and they were at a distance, but just seeing them, exchanging that energy. And to me, I was going out of the house all the time because I was an essential worker. I was allowed to do that. And so to me, it was more of the same.
Yep.
And
Wow.
I loved, loved, loved the peace. Oh my goodness, that was just like nectar to me. So to
Interesting.
stand in my garden and hear the birds without the roar of the trains and the cars near where I live, and to have that stillness in the world, which I hope to engender when I'm teaching yoga, to get in touch with the inner
Yeah.
stillness within us. That was just beautiful. And I just
Yeah.
wanted the world to stay like that forever.
Yeah.
And just stop being so
That's
busy and stop being so rushed and just being quiet and that beautiful
yes.
pause. I loved that.
So that you were then tapping into that the art of the heart is to be, not to do. Because fire in all its rather frenetic, sometimes chaotic desire to be out there and new things and lots of people interaction, that's fine for so long, and then it gets very wearisome. You could
Mm,
deplete your fire by overdoing because you're not doing enough being,
mm,
interestingly. um, and in those moments of silence you were absolutely tapping into that really deep, profound desire for
mm.
just quiet, peaceful, radiant joy,
Yeah.
listening to your birds, nothing else around, and just being in the moment. Fire is about being in the present moment,
Mm,
not what's gone before, not what's to go. The wood will future focus. It's the planner and the decision maker and the visionary. What can
mm.
come, bring that into the now. The water will spend an awful lot of time making sure that we're all safe and we can survive by considering all the catastrophes that can happen and avoiding them. But the fire is the one that can absolutely be present
I
in the
think that
now.
helps with my coaching, because often I hold people in a space while they unwind a lot of that pain. And I've worked with people who've been in real crisis and people who've been suicidal and people who've had enormous difficulties. And I've just managed to hold them in that space
Yeah.
long enough for them to be able to unwind and start that healing process themselves.
Yeah.
And I always say this ability to hold space, to give people that opportunity, it feels very precious.
Yeah.
And there's although I love to talk a lot, there are very few words then, because it's
Yes.
almost like the words are irrelevant. It's an
Yes.
energetic, oh my goodness, I'm safe at last, I can relax here, somebody's accepting me, I can trust them, everything's going to be okay, and right now I'm allowed just to breathe out and let it all go. And
Yes.
that's what I really enjoy with my coaching. It must be, it's funny because I've had quite a lot of people come in crisis. I think, well, why am I attracting those kinds of people? But there seems to be that, even though I feel my life is sometimes spinning quite quickly, there's a real silent quietness on the inside, which I think they must, they're able to tap into, or I'm able to share with them. And that
Yes.
helps a lot.
Yes. And
But
you
it's
hold them.
clarity, you just get clear. Yeah.
Yes. And you hold them in love, not judgment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is fire. That's the gift. That if we can just, sorry, that's the neighbours. If we can just perfect the art of holding in love and being love, then we have released the potential, the highest expression of the fire element. Everything else is sort of nice to have, additional bits. It's the cherry on tops, but the real essence of fire is just to be love. That's it.
Mm,
And it
mm,
is that childlike innocence, that awe and wonder of just how wonderful this world is as
mm,
it is right now in
mm,
this moment.
mm.
I love it. That's your fire.
It is. It is. Thank you for that, Claire. I've just decorated my porch, my patio, sorry, my patio. We've got a garden which is quite wild. My husband's an organic gardener and he loves the wild, which to me looks messy, but
Which is
it's very
interesting
natural.
because normally
It
that
is
would be
messy.
the other way
The other way
round.
around. So the house is a little bit
Yes,
messy and he thinks that's wild. So yeah, interesting contrast there. And
yes,
I really love the wild, but there's a part of me wanted to have a little bit of nurtured nature as well. So I've created a huge amount of color on my patio, and I've got hanging baskets and I've got trailing this and purple and pink and all the beautiful colors that I adore. And it just makes my heart sing. And it's really funny because it's just a small area. And I notice my LED changing. As I walk into that, I get this beautiful uplift of color. And then I
yep,
walk into other parts of the garden, which are very, very green. We've got lots and lots of different contrasting greens in the garden, and they're really soothing and really peaceful. And if I
yes,
drop my judgments of, well, that needs a trim and that needs a tidy up, and if I drop all of that, it is beautiful. And noticing the difference with the color, because obviously I do color psychology, psychotherapy as well.
yep.
Noticing that color has an immediate impact on the body. And I've always wanted to do this and I've never quite got round to it. So this year I was really pleased that I finally made the effort and took the time. And it took a bit of planning. And
Oh, nice.
work out
Bit of
where
Woody.
things were going to go and which was the
Yeah,
sunniest part, and is this a
brilliant,
trailing plant, don't put it too low. And I actually enjoyed that because I
brilliant.
could see where it was going to lead, and actually I'm delighted with it now.
Oh, fabulous. Well, that's the creativity, but augmented by your wood planning and sort of organization. Color wise, Jackie and I have both studied color mirrors over many years ago now, and we use color a lot in our therapeutic support. Fire element is red because it's the color of the blood, it's the color of the heart, it's the color of passion. Um, it is a high vibe energy frequency. And it was interesting tonight, Jackie, because I thought, right, I'll wear some, I'll take my dog walking top off and not look like a
Mm.
bag lady tonight, although probably nobody's noticed I've made an effort. And I was looking for something red. I have not a single red item in my wardrobe. And in my hierarchy of the five elements, my fire is my lowest.
Is
Isn't
it?
that interesting?
Well,
I have
I
I have
don't,
no red.
yeah, it's really interesting. I think I've got one piece of clothing that's red, and I recently bought a top that's orange. I never wear orange, but I just thought that would be bright. I haven't yet
Yep,
worn it, but I just
right.
thought, oh, why not try something a little bit? It feels almost dangerous. It's really out because I live in pinks and purples and blues
Yep,
and whites and those sort of primary colors. And
yep.
I can't remember the last time I wore red. The last time I wore red, I was in sales when I was in my corporate job.
Oh,
Red
wow.
suit, and I
Yep,
drove a
power
red
suit.
car. Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think I've got a red jumper, which I can sometimes bring out in the winter, but I've got nothing else that's red. So I was going to
No.
ask you, whether I should wear more red, whether it would be good to wear more red or less red or whatever.
We use, as you and I know, we use color to often just to bring balance. So if we feel deficient in something or we're out of balance, then we want to have more of that particular frequency through color or the sound or however we relate. So only if you're feeling flat, get the red out. The
Right.
brighter the better, because that's going to help very quickly to change your frequency into a more upbeat state at an unconscious energetic level, which is where we want to do the corrections. If you're just, happily going through life, it doesn't matter what color you wear whatever you fancy. And I love the idea of orange, because orange is the sacral chakra and it's the space of creativity. So in color terms, that is the equivalent of the fire element, because it's the
Right.
creative womb where everything is birthed. So that works beautifully. But I would have a couple of red things available to you, or you do your nails red, or you get the brightest red lipstick, something that could just imbue you with that frequency of fire that will just help lift, for sure. And I need to get something of red. It was quite a shock that I literally have nothing, not in winter wear, not in summer, nothing
That's
red.
really
So,
interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even I don't wear lipstick very often, but I bought one lip gloss, and that's sort of pink beige. I mean, oh, Claire, come on!
So
Where's my
funny.
sense of danger and, sort of daring do and out there? I haven't got any.
I like fuchsia pink, as you know,
Yeah,
and to me that's the flames, that's the redness, and that's
yes,
so uplifting. And
yes,
it's just so it would rather be a blue or a fuchsia pink or something, but the brightness matters. I
yes,
can't. My mother's carer, she used to dress her in beige, and I couldn't bear it. And she
no,
had beige top, beige bottoms, and I said no. She said, oh, I think they look okay. And I was going, no, it looks like she's invisible. She's just disappeared, because she was bedbound as well. So we
yeah,
have these sort of sheets and these beige clothes. And I thought, where's my mother? So I bought her this bright purple jumper, and then I bought her a pink top, and I bought her a yellow this and a blue that or whatever. And she said, oh,
beautiful.
Mum looks really good in colours, doesn't she? And I said, yeah,
I
no
knew
more
that.
beige. Because beige to me, it's like glue, it's like porridge, it's just like, ugh. It feels like sinking sand, quite literally.
Yes, yes,
And I have an aversion to it, because it's like, oh, there's nothing there, it's just
no,
invisible.
yeah, no, I quite agree.
And yet
It,
some
it's
people
a
look fabulous in beige. I see them,
they
oh, they
can
look
do.
amazing. I just could never wear it.
No, I just remember Terry Wogan talking about beige and taupe, and I've never been able to look at it with the same, positive outlook ever again. You just don't want to do beige.
That's so funny.
Before we close, Jackie, is there anything about your fiery personality that you struggle with, would like it to be different, or you notice that doesn't serve you quite in the way that it has the potential to? So I'm really looking, are you aware of any imbalances, deficiencies in fire that we could look at and say, well, actually, there's a really quick fix to that, or maybe it's a longer term project, or the other
Interesting.
elements can help you out. Is there one thing that
Yeah.
you would look at and go, oh, I think I'd like that to be slightly different?
I think as you were talking, and it's a great question, thank you for asking it. There's often a longing in me for more. And I don't know what the more is. So right now everyone's going on holiday, and I'm not going on holiday, because I had a lovely big holiday last year. We went away earlier in the year. We might go away in the autumn, but everyone's going on holiday. And there's a part of me, oh, I'd love to go on holiday. And there's
Yes.
this sort of almost like it's not fair, childish, when is it going to be my turn feeling.
Yeah.
But there's also this, it's like a deeper longing. It's just like, I've always wanted, sort of close-knit friends. My mum had a set of 6 friends. She was the 5th, and there were 6 friends between them, the whole gang. And they were together from when we were born all the way through her children till they were in their 80s.
Yeah.
And I have so many friends. I have the most beautiful, precious friends. And I know them all, but they don't know each other.
Other. No.
And so I can meet with them, and I love to meet with them, but it's actually quite time consuming, because one's over here, one's over here, one's over here, and they all want a little piece of me, and I want a piece of them. And I often think, wouldn't it be lovely if they all knew each other and we
Yeah.
could get together and have that continuity? And so if I ever have a longing, it's either for going away on my own or with others to have a break or a space somewhere else other than home,
Yep.
Or
Yes.
this idea of a community where everyone's looking out for each other, and I don't have to be the one that has to work quite hard,
Yep.
because I feel like I support quite a lot of people, and there's often not that many people coming the other way, although I get a lot
Yes.
of support in different ways, but I don't get much fiery support. I suppose that's what the
Yes.
thing is. So
Yes.
it's lovely because it compensates what I don't have. But I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of other fires, so I'd be interested to
Yeah.
find some other fires and hang out with them, and they'd probably all we'd probably drive each other mad.
It
But
would
it is
just
interesting.
it would just be like being with yourself, which would be wonderful and exhausting. At some
Yes,
stage, you'd just say, "We've had enough now," and then you'd all just go your different ways because it would just be very
too
it would
much.
be high vibe. It would be all talking at once, all excited, all about have you heard, have you heard, and then at that point, then you'd all just slump because you've just burnt your fires out in the most blissful way, and then you just go home and sleep.
That's so
You brought
funny.
out two beautiful points. Fire is about, because it's the heart, it's about forging meaningful relationships. Fire out of balance can be quite satisfied with, shall we say, Facebook friends. So superficial, not meaningful, allows for that sort of constant shifting and sort of newness. Oh, new friend, my best. Only the fires will say, oh, it's my new bestie. How can you have a new bestie? For a wood or a water, those besties come after 35 years of sharing life. It's anathema to think you can suddenly have a new best friend within, BFs, within 2 minutes of meeting. But fire is so open and so desirous of heartfelt connection that if it meets that energy,
Mm.
you skip the formalities of, well, I barely know you. No, no, we're just best friends, and you're planning a
Yeah.
holiday together, exactly, or more. So fire wants things in balance. It wants things to be meaningful. It wants to have that meaningful interaction, that real depth of intimacy. It doesn't have to be physical, but obviously there's an element of that. But the intimacy that comes with that close knit connection,
Mm.
the sharing, the forging of that relationship, which can come in about 2 minutes, or it can be for a lifetime, like your ma. And I think that was a generational thing, wasn't it? That maybe they didn't move around as much, but it was so important to keep that close knit friendships going. So if you don't have that as a fire dominant personality, there will be a sense of a missing, and out of balance, it'll be a missing out. So it's difficult because you can't force friendships, but what you can do, like you said, is find people who have a very similar energetic vibe to them. So fires would like to hang out with fires, not all the time, because there can be a bit of competition for who is the fieriest. But actually, there's a huge delight in meeting people who have the same worldview, the same life experiences, and you think it's not just me. Actually, it's not just me, and then you can dip in and out of those fiery friendships. So I would invite you to come and join my Facebook group, which I have no idea what it's called. I think it's life coaching with the 5 elements. I have no idea. I'll send you a link, because it's a private group, but it's got all the different people. There's about 80 people in there. They'll all have different dominant elements. And within there, for sure, you will find some fire people, because they're going to be the ones that are most likely to join the group more than any of the other elements, because they're looking to have those like-minded relationships. As for the holidays, there will always be that part of fire that wants to go and have fun and an adventure and to be free. Free of responsibility, free of obligation, free of the mundane, tedious,
Yes.
maintenance jobs of life.
Yes.
It's Shirley Valentine,
It
almost on
is.
a
It's
daily
exactly that.
basis.
Yeah, they
It,
say someone said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I've got to empty my loft." I mean, like, I've got to
that's
empty my
just,
loft. They're going to paradise to lie
I
on
know.
the beautiful, you know, trees and the beach and the sunshine. And I'm emptying the loft,
The
and I'm getting
loft.
dirty, and I don't want to do it. And I've put it off for years because I still don't want to do it.
Do
So,
it. No. And
it's
it's never
freedom is
going.
one of the most important words. When someone said, "What do
Yeah,
you most want in life?" years ago, and I just said, "God, it's got to be freedom."
freedom.
That's why I think I bulk at when people try to pin me down.
Yep,
And
yep,
also, there's that longing for just being somewhere where I don't have to be responsible for anything at all,
yeah,
and I can just be there. Yeah.
yes.
And of course, I
That
can be that here, Claire, can't I?
you
It's the
can, and
mindset.
that's the thing. You bring the fire into the everyday. You
I could
brighten
be
up
in the
the
loft.
mundane. Yes. No,
I could be free in the loft.
that's never going to be fun. Let's not pretend, because the fire will see right through that and go, I'd rather
Yeah.
stick pins in my eyes than to think that loft clearing is going to be anything other than hideous.
Oh, it's lovely
However,
when it's done, though. It's fabulous when it's done.
yes,
I
and
love the finishing.
yep,
Mm,
that's what we've got to do is take the fire and say, okay, this is going to be hideous. I'm not going to lie. That it goes against all the grain of what I really want to do, be free.
yeah.
However, the sense of freedom I will get when I'm free of that oppression of decades of rubbish accruing up in my attic over my head and squishing my natural daily optimism and joy of life, joie de vivre, that's going to be worthwhile the hideousness of just sitting and saying, right, I am doing it. And
Mm.
you don't allow yourself to go, oh, I'll just make a cup of coffee. Oh, I'll just go and wash my neck curtains. Oh, I'll just go and sit in the garden and enjoy my trailing plant. No, like you said, you set yourself the job, you grit your teeth, you get on with it, and then you just keep thinking, how free will I feel when it's done?
Mm,
How free will I? And you use
mm,
that as your fuel, your motivation
mm,
to get
mm.
up there with your hairnet on. Because if you're anything like me, I don't want the spiders in my hair and go, oh, oh, oh. As I always go up in almost like PPE, oh, God. Just think, future focus it. I will feel so much freedom when it's done.
That's a really good idea. And also,
That's
that
it.
feeling is probably what you get when you're on holiday. So it's
Yep.
actually the equivalent of holiday when you've got that. Except you don't have to come home and have that awful disappointment, like, oh, that was lovely there, and now I've come home. It's just
Yeah.
I will be even more free at the end of the adventure of clearing the
Yep.
lot because
Yes.
what I've done is going to be even better. So.
Yeah. That's the only thing that's going to get you up those ladder steps.
Mm,
Honestly, it's not
mm.
going to be fire.
'Cause I've tried it before and it's just
Yeah.
been too much and I've just
Yeah.
caved in because
Yep.
it's the indecision. That's the only thing that I struggle with, if I'm really honest. The challenge when you were saying there are so many exciting options, the indecision is an absolute killer. Shall I
Yes.
keep this? Shall I not keep this? I might need it
Yes.
one of these days. Oh
Yep.
well, just put that there for now. And
Yes.
I'm blessed because I live with two men that say, get rid, get rid, get rid. And I'm
Yep.
going, yes, but, and they're going, get rid. And I almost
Get
say
rid.
to them, we've done a bit before, and I've said to them, just do it so I can't see it. Because if I
Yep.
don't see it leave, I don't worry about it. I didn't
You
know it
don't
was
worry
there.
about
I
it.
don't know it's gone. But if I watch it go, I'm almost running to get it back out of the bin. It's ridiculous,
Yes.
the attachment to things that I'm never going to use again because they were once important to me. So
And
just that huge letting
that's
go.
yeah, that's the fiery. There's a. It's not sentimentality. It's as you say. There is an emotional
Mm,
connection to it
mm,
that
mm.
isn't just the thing, it's the story that
It
comes
is.
with the
It
memory of
is.
the association with
It is.
somebody or something that you loved doing. The children, where how many mothers keep the baby things, just give them to the kids and they can chuck them, as they will. But the fire it's all about the story behind the thing. So you're
It
not just
is.
throwing out a piece of broken pottery. But my daughter made that when she was 5 at the pottery, and I remember, and we laughed. How do you throw away that memory? You
Yeah,
can't.
it's very
It's
tough.
brutal.
It
But
is brutal, and it feels like you're giving away either a part of yourself or
yep,
someone you love dearly.
yep.
And my husband came up with a great idea. He said, take a photograph of
Take a
it
photo.
because that will keep the memory intact, and then
Exactly.
get rid of the thing because you don't
Get rid
need
of
the
the thing.
thing. Just keep
It,
that connection
that's
with
it.
the thing without having to house it.
Exactly. That's what I've
That's
done.
different.
Everything I've
Is it?
had ever, I've got a photograph of, because it's easier to store albums, photo albums. Well, I print them off, so because I'm at that age. But rather than have, you can have digital, you can have them on little CDs, whatever. You've always got it there. You can ping them
Mm,
out and say, "Do you remember when?" Because that's a fiery thing. Do you remember when we did that? And you're looking at the photo, and it's just as alive. And the other thing fire can do when letting go, think of how much joy, if that thing is still intact and has a value and a worth and a use, think how much joy that will bring to somebody who hasn't
yeah,
got it, who needs it, who can't afford it.
yeah. This
And
is what
that
I did
will,
with my mum's things when we had to empty her house.
yeah,
And it was so lovely to see it going to people who really needed it, and to feel like
really
a little bit
needed
of
it.
her had blessed their lives and been
Exactly.
able to give them something. Yeah, that was
That's
really
it.
helpful.
That's it. So I think utilize those gifts of fire, the attachment that allows for you to give it with joy and love to somebody else that they may be able to get use of it. Take the
Mm,
photograph so you've always got this trigger for the memory, because
mm,
that's all you're really carrying in your
mm,
heart, not
mm.
the thing.
That's
That's the
true.
weight on your back. That's
Yeah,
just a heavy, heavy sack that drags you down, slows you down, and deprives you of your freedom.
that's
Really, all
true.
you want to
Very
do is
true.
just carry the memory.
Mm, yeah.
So,
I've got so many pictures because I brought a whole load back from my mother's house,
yep,
and I've been organizing everything because we needed to tidy up the stuff down
yep,
here as well. And I've got boxes and boxes of photographs, and I've gone to treat myself. And I actually decided that rather than go on a holiday this year, what I'd do would be to spend, on and off over a month or something like that, and just ditch on an awful lot of pictures that are more or less the same thing, but
yes,
then make some books out of the things that were meaningful and actually
yes,
collate them, organize them. And I love organizing things like that
I know.
because they're meaningful to me and they're
Yeah,
memories and things. And I
yes,
found some pictures that were just so gorgeous. And I thought, oh, I remember. So yeah, I am absolutely in my element when sorting through photographs. So that
yeah,
could be like a holiday rather than having to
that
sit in an
is.
airport and,
That's
get
it.
posted on the beach. Mm,
And it's going to be more meaningful because it's going to be more lasting and it's going to be much
yes.
more personal to you than,
Yeah.
yet another airport, yet another
Yes.
beach,
Yeah.
um, which is probably too hot and too crowded anyway.
Yes.
If it's Europe. So, let's enjoy what we and sit on your patio with your trailing
Yeah, my
plants and your
patio, my trailing
baskets and
plants.
do it there and celebrate
Yes.
life and what your mum's life was, and you're bringing life back to that
Mm, mm,
by collating this book filled with love.
mm.
So I look forward, Jackie, to
Thank
your
you,
text
Claire.
saying I went up in that bloody loft. And I said to myself, when it's
Gonna
done,
hold
I
me
shall
to it
feel
now.
free. I can't wait to feel free. I'm bloody doing it. So I'm just looking forward to that text, my love. May it be
It will
sooner
come.
rather than
It will
later.
come. Because if it doesn't come, both of the men in my life are actually going to leave and go and live somewhere else. Because every time we have to go in the loft now, we simply can't find anything because there's just
No,
too much stuff in there.
it's too much.
And I want to organize it. And I just
Yeah.
thought, while the weather's this nice,
Yep.
in the wintertime, it's a nightmare because you're cold and miserable and dirty and you don't want to be there either, which is
No.
everything I hate because I get very cold.
Yep.
So I thought, while it's warm and
Yep.
it's okay up there, and
Yeah.
whilst I'm feeling this free, having spoken to
Yep.
you there, because the
Yes.
freedom does lift a lot of that attachment.
Yeah.
It really does. It loosens it all up. It's like it's been a
Yes.
bit tight and a bit graspy, and you suddenly think, you know what? And I've also noticed I gave away a lot of my mum's things, and I didn't die,
No.
and everybody was fine. And you have this awful like, oh, but I can't, and then you realize that you can.
You
And I've
can.
got some beautiful tea sets that I still haven't got rid of, but I need to. And before I do, I'm going to have a great big tea party with all the ladies in my road because we do a little, organize a women's group with all the people that I live nearby. And there's
Yep.
about 60 of us in the group. I'm just going to say, you can all come, you can all have a teacup and we can celebrate my mum's teacup and then I'll give them all away because
And
I
then they'll
can't
go.
have them, I can't use them.
Yep.
But it feels like I just want to use them one more time
Yep.
and have a proper tea party in the garden, and then I can get rid of them. And it sounds sentimental and ridiculous, and maybe I will, maybe I won't, but it just to give it away just feels too hard and too cold and too uncaring. And it sounds silly, it's just a bit of china,
Yeah.
but it's stuff that she treasured, and it's illogical to keep, and yet there's a part of me wants to. So I will
Yes.
use
You'll
it for
find
what
your
it
middle.
was designed for.
You'll find your balanced expression of fire, which is all about love and letting go through, because it's the freedom. So I love the
Yeah.
fact you're going to share with your neighbours that and have the tea party that is very fiery. I love, couldn't be better. And then the
In the garden with my
celebration,
patio flowers.
yeah, the celebration of life, the celebration of love, that's fire. And then the divesting yourself of anything that drags you down, just this, this duty, this obligation, this heaviness, release it in so that you can still be free. And knowing that who you release it to will get so much joy out of it
Mm,
because you're sharing the joy. And then it
mm.
will be effortless to let it go.
Brilliant. Thank you, Claire. That's
Well,
wonderful.
sweetie, it's been an
Thank you.
absolute joy. Thank you for living fire with me. I've loved every minute of it. And
Thank
go
you
well
for
with
being
your
so
moth, your
yes,
your hapless, chaotic, and
hot mess.
beautiful life. Go well. Enjoy every minute of your
I
mothing.
will.
All right, darling. We'll speak
Bless you.
soon.
Thank you very much. Lovely to talk to you, Claire. Take
Lovely
care.
to talk to you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
love.
Bye
Bye.
bye now. Bye bye.